ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a comedy from 2005. That comedy is called Fastback, and I kind of have to tell you guys the story about how I got my hands on this DVD. You see, in the summer, I like to go to yard sales just to, pick up like DVDs, comic books, and other nerdy fare really cheap. And I was at a sale, saw this movie, had a price tag of 1 cent, and that price tag was holding a note. I have since saved the note, and unfortunately the stickiness on the price tag is gone, otherwise I would have shown you the cover with this thing still fucking attached. The note says, "Worst movie ever made, price negotiable." Literally, guys, this right here was the note that was on the DVD at that fucking yard sale. I saw this and I saw a challenge, because I've seen some bad movies in my time. Oh, by the way, they also gave it to me for free, because after all, it was price fucking negotiable. I just sort of walked up, they just said, take it. Anyway, I saw that tag, I said, that is a challenge. I have seen some of the worst movies ever made here. In fact, hell, I'd even say I've seen some of literally the worst movies ever made in this series. This thing has big shoes to fill, thanks to that fucking note. I honestly am not even expecting this thing to be good. I'm wondering exactly how shitty Fastback here really is. So, I'm about to find out. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Fastback. Oh my god, were the filmmakers so cheap that they couldn't find a brick wall somewhere to film this? Guys, I swear to god, this scene is shot in front of a fucking blue screen. I can tell because there's big blue auras around the two actors. And it's also very poorly done. It looks basically almost like somebody just tried to do like chroma key in Vegas and failed miserably. Oh my god, this sucks. So this complex experiment consists entirely of just taking what are essentially like mason jars full of Kool-Aid and pouring them into different funnels. Like, literally, there is nothing else going on here. This right here is the complex experiment where he needed a partner to fucking do it. I'm kind of hoping for this movie at some point to make some... What the fuck? Okay, we just had like a random shot of like a soda bottle like filling in reverse, and they're using a really shitty like video effect to make it bulge out. You can tell it's a shitty video effect because the wall behind it's warping. Oh, and apparently they fucked up their complex experiment. Yeah, who in the fuck would have thought that just randomly pouring liquids into various funnels would have led to something bad? Oh my god, this sucks. Okay, I kind of sort of thought that the reason why they had to use like blue screen was to kind of sort of help take care of like background noise for all of these outdoor dialogue scenes. Then why the fuck do you add in background noise that drowns out your dialogue? It kind of defeats the purpose of filming it indoors in the first place. And I probably would not have a problem with it if the fucking blue screen effect wasn't so fucking bad. You know, guys, I could probably care a little bit more about what's going on in this movie if the sound mix wasn't so absolutely shitty. I have my volume up at full. I can barely hear what the fuck is being said. Plus, it doesn't help that this dialogue is completely shit and that the story is going nowhere fast. Oh, man. This really is bad, guys. But, so far it still isn't the worst thing I have ever seen. Wow, yeah. That totally is not the most irritating car horn in the history of movies. No. No, I honestly could listen to that all fucking day. Oh my god, the blue screen in that shot was so bad. Alright, so we have our main character Billy driving, and apparently instead of just putting a car inside and just filming him driving, they have, again, another fucking, like, blue screen thing. And then off to the side, you can see coming in the edge of the car that the fucking background was filmed in. It just keeps on jutting, like, in and out, looks way out of place. Good God, this movie's fucking cheap as shit, man. So he's going to kick his friend out of the car because his friend has never felt love. Oh my god. I want to find who wrote this, and I want to beat them soundly and hopefully teach them how to actually write a fucking story. This is just pathetic. Oh my god, that ending was shit. Well, guys, that was Fastback. I'm going to shut that shit off, and we have a very interesting little text screen here at the very end, which also informs me that I got the year wrong when I said this thing was from 2005. It's actually from 2007. Oops. Anyway, it says, The End. If you steal this movie, you will not be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Depraved street people will take care of you. I'm going to assume that is supposed to be funny. But hey, that means if I really want to, I could probably rip, you know, this worthless thing off this DVD, and I could upload it, and they won't touch me. Apparently they want hobos to deal with me instead, which, that's probably the only witty thing, and that's barely even witty or funny, that this whole movie has to offer. Anyway, let's talk about Fastback. The writing. I will say that the plot to this, while ridiculously fucking shallow, actually could have shown some, you know, promise. Essentially, the plot is that Billy has a huge dick. That really is the whole plot of this fucking movie. And he screws every single woman he possibly sees in the back seat of a car that was owned by his very religious aunt, who apparently is now haunting the car, but it's stupid little details there. And there's this nerdy chick in his class. I'm not sure if it's high school or college. They never really specify. And she also wants to get fucked by him. And she wants him to begin to treat women better. So she sabotages the car, so that way you don't really know if it's haunted or not, because she's sabotaged the fucking car. Now, this could have been a good movie if maybe the writer, and by the way, it is just one writer. The writer's name is Francis Kilduff. If Francis Kilduff would have, you know, learned how to fucking write, maybe we would have had a promising story here. We would have had dialogue that was actually pretty good. Instead, we have this half-assed, like, half-handed thing, and the big moral at the end that Billy is supposed to learn to treat women better is basically just sort of, you know, like, dumped on you in the last, like, 2 minutes of the fucking film, which seems completely unnecessary, completely fucking stupid, and, well, it doesn't really have any kind of impact, because you see him for the entire film just screwing every single woman he sees, and there is no penalty for it, guys. I mean, he honestly is not, you know, getting any, he isn't getting any kind of, like, comeuppance, except some nerdy bitch decided to tamper with his fucking car. I mean, a proper writer would have actually fleshed out these, you know, characters to a point where you would actually care. They would probably have had dialogue that was at least decent. You know, this movie's writing is probably one of its biggest sins, but not its absolute biggest sin. I will get to that in just a sec. Its biggest sin is the special effects. You see, apparently, this movie, I don't know what in the hell the budget on this shitty thing was, but it couldn't have been more than like $5,000 or $6,000. Apparently, the whole thing was edited in Sony Vegas. I can tell because every single effect and every single, like, use of text is all shit you can whip up in fucking Sony Vegas very quickly, as long as you can work around Sony Vegas's ridiculously irritating user fucking interface. That program is not user friendly in the slightest. Anyway, the biggest effect which they use is chroma key, which is also known as blue screen or green screen if you're someone who's not really into effects jargon. Essentially, for those of you who don't know what that means that a scene is shot in front of a single color background, kind of similar to this one, except brighter and much more vibrant. They usually use blue or green because that picks up best on camera. And then they digitally replace the background with something else, like, say, like a cityscape or something else. I actually used to do that when I was, you know, doing rants. That's also how I learned of the horrific interface on Sony Vegas. And the chroma key effects in this movie make every single attempt I had at chroma key look fucking good, which is saying a lot because I sucked getting that fucking effect to work. Anyway, And you can tell that this is a big issue because, well, first of all, it takes time to actually properly, like, chroma key out all of the green or blue, and in this movie it was very clearly blue, because they had very, very, very prominent blue fucking auras on them, and you're not supposed to have that. You're supposed to, you are supposed to, like, cut it down so it's just the person. But anyway, not only that, but also you can see the background inside of everything else because they apparently couldn't be asked to, properly, work on the chroma key correctly. And also, if anybody is wearing blue, oh god, fuck off. It is going to look like shit. Which is where we get to the nerdy chick who spends 3/4 of the film with this blue headband, with this blue fucking, like, bandana on her head. And, of course, whenever she's in one of these shots, you can see right through her head, except for the, like, paisley pattern that was on the fucking bandana. It looks really bad. It looks absolutely unfucking professional as shit. And the fact that this thing was on DVD and they expected people to buy it shows that the people who made this thing are just fucking money-mooching scumbags looking for a quick buck. Otherwise, the other big effects are making the car smile or frown or almost like wink, sort of. And this is done by taking a stationary shot of the car and then just essentially just digitally, like causing, the sides to either warp up or warp down, which also warps the background too, so it looks absolutely shitty. And at the end, when the ghosts that were haunting the car, spoiler, yeah, there was actually ghosts haunting the fucking car, as they begin to try to crush Billy and his latest love interest in the car, they're basically just using that, like, warp effect, and they're just kind of warping it all inwards. You can tell because the actors' heads are also, like, warping in too, which would probably have killed them if the movie was trying to shoot for realism. It's like every single one of those effects were so bad, guys. Anybody could have done them better. Perhaps maybe if you had a car that actually was built to smile or frown. Fuck, we've seen those. We have seen movies which have done that. Granted, it's usually just like CG and real basic like CG at that. But shit, again, if this movie were in the hands of competent people, it might have at least looked a little bit better in terms of effects. Then again, they would probably have also tried to shoot outdoors a little bit more for the scenes that are supposed to be outdoors instead of relying on a fucking blue screen. Anyway, on top of that, going back to the blue screen, it also doesn't work when the camera is jittering or zooming in and you see everything move except for the background. The background is not moving with everything else, which is weird because there's a scene where Billy is in a science lab. I believe I did mention a bit of that. In the first scene you see of him, they had to blue screen in a poster. And of course the camera's going up and down and like zooming in, zooming out, and the poster isn't fucking moving. Because the filmmakers were too fucking lazy to actually try to track that along with it so that way it at least looked sort of realistic. Or, spend $2 on a science poster and tack it to the fucking wall. Oh my god. Okay. I'm done talking about these special effects. I could probably be here for a fucking day bitching about the horrible special effects in this thing because I could do better special effects and probably do it even cheaper. Camera. I want to talk about the camera quality. This movie, this is probably another reason why it suffers when you're trying to do chroma key, is it was all shot on video. And when I say shot on video, I mean low quality video. Really bad video just across the board. So it was probably a pain in the ass to work with in terms of getting all that like chroma key shit done in the first place. This movie is very, very amateurish, guys, from top to bottom. And when you have a camera whose quality is that bad, and when I say that bad, I mean it makes the shitty camera used to film fucking redneck zombies look fucking like a multi-$1,000 Hollywood camera. That is not a good thing. Okay, I just want to get that out there. Sound mix. By the way, I know I haven't talked about the acting yet. I'll get to the acting. Sound mix is hideous. Alright, we have scenes in the classroom, which, by the way, this is a class of 5 people, and they are trying to add in, like, sounds to make it, you know, sound like it's a much bigger, more active classroom, which doesn't help when all of your wide shots show that it's a room with exactly 6 people. It's 5 classmates and 1 teacher. And instead of trying to get sounds that might have worked, it basically almost sounds like they were filming, like, a playground or a parking lot or something, and then they reversed the audio, which makes it sound just absolutely hideous. We have times when characters are talking and the sound when they're talking is cut off. It's like, good God. The people who worked on this have never edited sound in their fucking lives. It's like, good fucking God. This movie is literally a how-to guide on how not to make a fucking movie, alright? Just, the sound mix is another one. I could probably sit here for days just talking about all of the ridiculously and poorly fucking looped in dialogue, the fact that it has the worst Foley effects in the history of film. This thing has got problems on top of problems on top of even more fucking problems, guys. There is nothing good coming out of this. Acting. I'm gonna close with acting because, shit, acting sucks. That's really, I mean, there really isn't anything special. Nobody here had really anything to work with, so the acting wasn't good. In fact, the acting just flat out sucked. I am not going to lie to you guys. The acting in this thing is absolutely atrocious. And I really cannot comment on it, any further, because really that one there is the absolute least of this film's problems, on top of the horrifically bad writing, comically bad effects, shitty fucking sound, ridiculously cheap fucking camera. Everything else in this film is so bad that really the acting is almost a fucking afterthought. I want you to think about that for just a moment. Oh my God. So, now we get back to the reason why I bought it. Because of this note that was on it at that fucking yard sale. Worst movie ever made? No. I have seen far, far worse. Is this movie good? Oh God, no. This fucking movie sucks hard, but I've seen much, much worse. In fact, even just this fucking month, I've covered 30 Nights of Paranormal Activity with the devil inside the girl with the dragon tattoo, and that's infinitely worse than this motherfucker could ever have been, which is sad because that thing there was working with millions of dollars. This thing here was lucky if it was working off of thousands. But if you guys can find a copy of this, if you're really curious about how not to make a movie, go ahead and find it. After all, I got it for free at a fucking yard sale. That means you can probably find it for next to nothing. Oh my God, I really had no idea how bad this movie was. And I mean, it could have been a shit ton worse, but at least it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So at least I can take, that to heart, and at least now I'm done covering it. I've been sitting on the fucker for over 6 months. I'm done. I no longer have to hang on to the fucker. I can now sell it, and maybe I'll get $1, which means it'll be all profit. Woo. So with that, folks, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.